Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday afternoon, July the 4th, 2021. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And if you're celebrating the July 4th holiday for the U.S., then I hope you're having a safe celebration and make it through. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the show today. This is my weekly update that I will be putting on YouTube. I focus on methane, sea ice, and earthquakes, things like that. So we're going to go through that. So I'm going to start off with an article. Robin sent this to me today. This is from CBC from Canada, and this is as of June 30th, and it's called Rapid Permafrost Thaw Expected in Northwest Territory, Yukon After Heatwave, Experts Warn. So we know what that means because we've talked about permafrost a lot in regards to Russia, northern Russia, Siberia, but Canada has a lot of permafrost as well in those northern territories especially, and they've been slammed with the heat. And when the permafrost thaws, then it releases methane, carbon dioxide. It also the fires, it's harder to put the fires out. A lot of the land up there is from peat and the tar sands. They've got the Canadian tar sands, and so the more heat you get up there, the worse it is all the way around. And so I'll just go through a little bit of this. The heat wave sweeping through the Northwest Territory and Yukon could have a major impact on permafrost thaw in both territories, experts warn. Both territories are at the extremities of a heat dome, a mass of hot air settling over the Pacific Northwest. It's brought record-breaking temperatures across the region, setting new Canada-wide records in Lytton, British Columbia several days in a row, and that's where they had the fires break out too. I'll show you. We'll just take a peek real quick at Climate Reanalyzer, and here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. So see, here's Canada. They're talking about, so here's the U.S. The Canada starts right here. Lytton is right up here in British Columbia. See, this whole west side is in the brown, and then see, it's brown and then red all the way up to the Hudson Bay and beyond. And it had been red over here on the west side, and it's just been moving across. Then the Northwest Territories are up here in this region, and so it's widespread is what I'm showing. Let's go back to our article. We have kind of a double whammy, said Bill Quinton, a permafrost researcher at Wilfrid Laurier University, who has been studying permafrost in the NWT, or Northwest Territory, since the 1980s, mostly in the southwestern Decho region. So, see here, it's all the way across Canada. We started off the summer with lots of moisture, and now we have the heat wave, so we anticipate this is going to be one of our large permafrost thawing years. And see, they measure this in Celsius, 35.6 Fort Providence. These are all new records. Hay River, 33.2, Fort Liard 35.2, and so on. And if we go to, I don't remember the conversions. Convert Celsius. Oh, I should have gotten this up to Fahrenheit. I looked at this earlier. So 35 Celsius is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Now 40 Celsius is 104. So like 37 would be 98.6. 38 is 100.4. So once you get over 38, you're over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, just for reference. Let's go back to our article. and one of the things that we've learned about permafrost, these areas, their infrastructure is built on the permafrost, and so there could be buildings collapsing or falling apart. There could be roads that have a problem with the permafrost melting, pipelines, sewer lines, water lines, natural gas, oil, the whole thing. So water, all of these. So this is very serious, but we're gonna be coming into this more and more and more. Okay, continuing. Permafrost is ground that remains below 0 degrees for 2 years or more. Scientists are still trying to understand just how much carbon dioxide thawing permafrost will release into the atmosphere and nearby water. Thaw also causes the ground to weaken, causing shifts, cracking, and instability in structures. Above. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I just said. Heat speeds up melt of the first permafrost layer. Oh, and by the way, once that first layer goes, then it thaws deeper and deeper and deeper. And so here's the guy out there measuring, and this is, you can see that it's kind of rocky. It looks rocky, but it's not. That's the ground, and that's a slump there, and you really can't do anything with the ground where you get a slump like that. Nothing will grow. So here's a slump, see, and they'll have methane coming up in these lakes too. And then he says there are new hazards that we have to be aware of. Our past experiences on the land don't necessarily apply when things are changing so fast. Right. Yeah, he says even if you're going to grow vegetation to regenerate permafrost, there's no guarantee that you would get results. Well, no. And because it's different, it's a different terrain. It's a whole different terrain. And they're saying it could cause flooding too. So they're really worried they're going to have awful problems. And then the fires will, and they've already got fires all over up there. And this is just the beginning. It's just the first part of the summer. And see, this is what it looks like. This says it's an aerial shot near Fort Simpson. These are the slumps. So there's that. So let's get on to methane, and we'll go over the NOAA data first. This is from the 477/469 millibar reading that I've been tracking, and they've changed the readings or the names of these satellites, and they did that this week in the middle of the week. And now they're calling the METOP 1, this is a B as in boy, METOP B, and what used to be METOP 2 is METOP A. So it's always confusing when they change the names, but it's even more confusing for it to have 1 be B and 2 be A. 2 to become A. So go figure, you know. I don't know why they did that. So here we are. This is the METOP B or METOP 1 satellite for yesterday the 3rd in the morning. The mean or average was 1912 parts per billion. The high reading was 2388, and so this pink is where the highest range is. It's between 2000, see here's our chart down here, between 2000 and then whatever the highest number is up here in the range, and 2388. So we've got lots and lots of pinks across this northern hemisphere, and also down in the southern hemisphere. And look at it around the Antarctic, and you're gonna need to fasten your seat belts for when we look at CAMS today. It's definitely not looking good. And here we are in the afternoon. The mean was 1911. The high reading was 2328. On the METOP 2 satellite, or see this one says METOP A, the mean was 1894. The high reading was 2308. The high reading, the METOP, the afternoon reading, the mean was 1892, and the high reading was 2317. Here's the spreadsheet that I've been using to track all of this. Let me open it up so we can get a better view. Okay. So, here we are for the 3rd, and it averages out to 1902.25 parts per billion. This is showing an increase over last week of 3.5 parts per billion. And so here we can see this blue line jumped up, and so now we're above this 1900 line, and we've been hovering around it for the last month. And last year it peaked out. See these two little twin peaks? It peaked out at 1904.25 in 2 times in September and October, and here we are kind of at the beginning of the rising season, and we're almost at where we maxed out last year. And the same thing happened last year, and it was around the 2nd week in July we hit them where we maxed out the year before. So it's not good news at all. It's out of control. And so I've just got a couple of notes here. We are 20 parts per billion higher than we were a year ago on the 3rd, and we're 45 parts per billion higher since March the 1st of 2019, when I started tracking all of this stuff. And so you can see the trend, and it goes through these seasonal ups and downs, and now we're in the ups rising season until probably October. Now, let me show you what it did this week. So, here we are. Here we were last Sunday when I did my report. We were 1898.75. It had gone down 1.5 that day, but it was still an increase that week of 0.5. And you'll see it fluctuate. You'll see it go up and down from day to day, but the general trend is up. So on Sunday, it went up 1 part per billion. On Monday, it went down 2.25, but this was kind of a false reading because I made a little note here. The METOP-2 satellite in the morning it was questionable data. It was missing so much data. About half of the page was white. So that's why I put that note there, so that you can see that was an unusual drop. So the data, it probably shouldn't have been that low that day. Then, so that was Sunday, Monday. Then on Tuesday, it jumped up 3.25. And see if even if it had stayed the same here, it wouldn't have gone up it would have gone up 1 part per billion anyway. Then Thursday it went down 1.75. Friday it jumped up 3 parts per billion. So that was a big increase. Thursday. Then Friday it jumped up 1 part per billion. And then Saturday it went down. The one I just showed you was a decrease over the day before of 0.75, but we were still up from last Saturday of 3.5. So yesterday we were at 1903, and it had gone up potentially 4.25 since last Saturday. And that's where we were just underneath, just almost at where we'd maxed out last year at 1904.25. So we're on the rise. Things are heating up, and as the permafrost thaws, then we'll have more and more methane coming up, and it'll be coming up out of the land and out of the lakes and out of the ocean and everywhere. So just be ready for that. And I'm just waiting any day now for this methane bomb to go off in the Arctic, and it could go off any time. Now we'll look at CAMS. This is the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website. They're out of the EU, and we've got methane here. I have Saturday the 3rd pulled up, Arctic view and surface level. Now I wanted to say something, and I mentioned it in a couple of videos back on my Star channel. And and by the way, if you would like to have updates during the week, I do put out several updates during the week for my members over on Star. The link is in the description box below. So if you'd like to join us over there, that's one way you can support me, support my work, and see the latest. And then after it's up on Star for a week or two, then I archive all of my posts over to my website so that we can go back and see what so we have a record, kind of like a citizen. I'm a citizen researcher record. We have a record over there, and if you go back to my website or my Vimeo channel, and the links are in the description box below, to the archives, this time last year, and we were 20 parts per billion lower, we had green. We had this dark green covering the whole Arctic region, and so it doesn't make sense to me that we're seeing this aqua, this here. We had at least this dark green, which was 1920 parts per billion, and so we're 20 parts per billion higher, so it should, the whole background color should be this one at least, but we've got, it's lower. It looks 20 parts per billion lower. So, and the chart hasn't changed. The colors haven't changed. The numbers haven't changed. That's all the same. And so all I can think of is they tweaked the algorithms, and I know that they did that after it had been down for 10 days at the beginning of 2020. I remember that. Or I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was 2020. And when they brought it back online, everything looked different. Everything looked much lower, and especially in this Arctic Circle. And but I think it's been tweaked again. And so now when we see these waves of green, see, this is even higher than what we're used to seeing. So we need to really pay attention to not only the greens but the aquas too, because this is what used to be all green. I don't know when it happened. It was subtle, and I look at this every day. I report on this every day. I don't know when it happened, like I said. And we're peaking. We're at where we peaked last year almost. So I'm kind of flummoxed about this. It has to be some kind of adjustment to the algorithms all the way across. It just has to be. And maybe they did it because methane was going up so high that they didn't want to keep changing the color charts, and instead they're just changing the algorithms. And unless you're tracking it like on NOAA, like I am every day, you wouldn't know. You would say, oh, that doesn't look as bad as last year, but we're actually 20 parts per billion higher than a year ago. So it's very deceptive, but it is what it is. So we have this green wave moving up, see, off of the Scandinavian area and off of out of the UK in the North Sea. See, moving up, and we've got a little, it's popping up on Iceland here on the southern end. We've got Komsomolets billowing still, and the North Kara Sea is percolating there. We've still got this whole Scandinavia and West Russian area just kind of filled up with the black there. We have higher readings across Russia, all the way across. Fires are burning here in Russia and here in Russia. and we'll be able to see the smoke on NASA Worldview. And it's been raining, and there was the jet stream was pulling. There was the air was coming straight across from Siberia, straight across to Canada, and so it was. We had rain along with the smoke mixed in, and so it'll just chew up the sea ice. So that's not a good thing. Here we've got, I'm kind of really rambling, I'm sorry. We've got a high reading on the north coast of Alaska at Koktovik, and see this interior of Alaska, it should be higher. It should be kind of filling up for this time of year. And we're seeing the greens as the background colors, and then they're higher. See, they're going into the light greens and yellows as well. Oh, and I'd like to thank the people who donated to me this week. Very much appreciated, and it just gives me a boost to know that people appreciate my work, and I realize everybody's struggling, but it's just it just thank you so much. It helps a lot. And I'm not monetized, and I've got a couple of new subscribers over on Subscribestar, so I'd like to welcome them. So this is, and I'm doing this to document everything, and so that we have a record and we can go back and see what things looked like at certain times, and we've got data too. So here's the North Pole view, and see the green, and this is very high methane readings. And here's the Persian Gulf, here's India. See, it's coming further south, filling up the landmass there. Here's China. See the white spot popping up at Beijing, the most polluted city in the world, is higher than what the chart can read here. And we've got high readings all the way up into northern China, and see now it's here in Russia and coming up and across. And then here in North America, see from the Midwest east, see we've got the greens at least, and then you've got the blobs of the really high methane. And then California, wherever you've got the big populated areas, it's going to be high releases. Okay, we're going to go to the Antarctic now. Okay, I warned you. I warned all of you. We're going to be looking at the Antarctic every week now. And also I do, I'm doing at least a midweek update, usually Wednesdays for my Subscribestar members, and I go through sea ice. I do an update on sea ice, and I also did an update on Friday on sea ice along with my other stuff. And we're in high melt season, and so I'm thinking, 2-3 times a week we need to be looking at the sea ice. So This is pretty disturbing. Here's our chart down here. Now the dark blue, that's 1800 parts per billion. The next color up, this light blue, that's 1820. This kind of this aqua color is 1840, and then it just keeps going up. So here's the western peninsula of the Antarctic. Here's South America. We can see it streaming off of South America and kind of mixing. See, it's coming over this western peninsula, and so sometimes it's kind of hard to tell what's streaming down and then what's coming up. But when you see it around the coastlines and nothing streaming down, then you know that it's coming up around the coastlines, and it's all the way. Look at this. Here, this is the Brunt ice sheet, and see, this is the Weddell Sea and Weddell ice sheet here. This, and see, it's just spewing up all on this western peninsula. It's coming up down here. I think this is, I can't remember I think this is the Amundsen Sea. But look, down here by the Pine Island Glacier on that little elbow, and then down here next to the Ross Sea, and that's on the west side. Look how big that is. And then on the east side of the Ross Sea here, and then this little spot on the east coast, I don't know the name of that area. Then here, this Amory ice sheet, it's coming up, and then this whole northern coast at certain times, see? And it's in the dark down there. So here it's streaming off of Africa. This is from Africa. It's also coming from Australia. So that's not looking good. So it's mainly coming up around the coastlines, where the sea ice is supposed to be up to the coastline, but when we look at sea ice, you'll see that there are lots of areas where it's open by the coastlines. So methane's coming up. I don't know why. I'm just thinking that the Earth is heating up somehow from the inside, and there are lots of volcanoes down here in the Antarctic and underneath everything. And they found hundreds, I mean, what was it? I can't remember. Over 100 active volcanoes underneath and all around. And there's one under Pine Island Glacier. That's what's causing that to be deteriorating. So maybe they're coming back to life. I don't know. Now we'll go to the global view. You're not going to get this anywhere else. No one else I know is reporting on this like I am. I feel like it's important. Ever since I first learned about this stuff, and learned how to look at CAMS and these other websites, I was like, this is important, and this needs to be documented on a regular basis, and so that's what I'm doing. Okay, so we can see the light blue creeping further south and kind of taking over the dark blue. And remember last year where the dark blue went away? I can't remember when how far along in the season it was, but the dark blue went away and it was all light blue for a while as the whole background color. I have to go back through my videos and see. Here's the white spot. Watch right here in China. Here it comes. See? There it is. There it is. So here's Australia. We can start to make out the edges because of the light blue now, and it's wherever it's really populated areas. It's got methane coming up. See, around the coast on this east side, then down here at Perth. Here's New Zealand. See, it's high, especially that North Island. They have very high methane readings. So there's that. Now we'll look at 500 HPA. So this is about the same level as what we saw on the NOAA NOAA data. Now we saw the high readings over a lot of North America, and so this really doesn't correlate like with the NOAA data. So it's got to have been tweaked, but it still looks bad. Look, here's India, here's Southern Asia, China, all the way up. Here's Russia. See, the red is going all the way up to the Arctic here, and then it's streaming across the Pacific. And here, now we'll look at total column. So this is not good. See, this is methane added up through all the layers of the atmosphere, and see, it's really high, coming up high near here at the Persian Gulf and Saudi Arabia and around. And see this red orange, that's the next color up. So pretty soon we will probably be seeing red all the way across here where it's red orange. Look at this, all the way up. Here's Russia. Now before we go to sea ice, I want to finish up showing you the stuff from CAMS. Here's sulfur dioxide today. We've got a new release here, Iceland, that's from the volcano that's going off. It hasn't stopped. And see this whole area in Russia, this is from the fires. Here it is at 500 HPA. We had a high reading here at Turkey yesterday, and it looks like that's still hanging around. I don't know what it's from. It could be volcano related. I don't know. So see the high reading here. This is definitely volcano. This is from Iceland, where it just shoots up into the atmosphere. Halfway up. This is 500 HPA. We also have an ozone hole. Here's our where it's going into the danger zone under 200 Dobson units, or 200 Dobson units. That's the kind of purplish blue. And see, they put a thick black line around it when it's going into that level. This is the Antarctic view. This is ozone. for today. I'm going to show it to you on CAMS too and show you it really opened up. Yesterday I wasn't aware of it until today. This is what it looked like at the beginning of today, and then it dissipates today, this one, but it stays thin, and we can see that most of the Antarctic is in lower than healthy ozone. See all these greens. The solid yellow is 300 Dobson units. That's considered to be good reading, and we can see most of this is below that. And so we've got the aqua and the blue-green and the green all the way across. This is from CAMS. This is the North Pole view. This is fire, the aerosols for the biomass burning. So anywhere you see the gray, this is smoke from the fires. And here it is over Russia. And I'm thinking this, I don't know why we have it here in the Aleutian Islands unless it streamed over from Russia. I'm not sure about that. We also see it here in Canada. This is in the Lytton area, and then also from the middle part going east. They've already got a lot of fires. That's all of those. Now, I want to go over to Climate Reanalyzer next, since we kind of started on it. So I already showed you. Let's look at maximum temperatures for today. We can see most of the Arctic is above freezing. We've got a little bit of the bluish color, which is right at 0 Celsius, right here in the North Kara Sea. Otherwise, it's above freezing. And look at this. Look at Africa, North Africa, all the way through the Middle East. And this is Kazakhstan. And here's India. Here's China here. And then we've got the whites showing up here in the California, all the way down into Arizona. And look in the upper Midwest, it's very hot too, and then up into Canada. And the white, the super white, is about 45 C, and then it goes into the gray zone, like what we see here in Saudi Arabia. That's 50 C. That's, let's see, let's look. 50 C is 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And I know that, or I think I've heard that some places are even reading higher than that. Anyway, this is what we've got. Now we'll go through our slideshow for the sea ice. Okay, here we are. I took these pictures from Climate Reanalyzer this week. Here we are today for the 4th. This is sea ice and snow cover for the Arctic. So we can see this Laptev Sea is opening up quite a bit, and look at around the coastlines, and and here on this east side, Greenland, see, it's melted a lot around Greenland. Here in the Baffin Bay, it's also been raining here, the the bottom part of Greenland, and then a little bit on this west side. So when we look at the National Snow and Ice Data Center, you've got to fasten your seatbelt for that one too. Here's the Hudson Bay. See, that's in high melt. There's just some left in the middle. See, it's melted around most of the coastlines. And here in the Beaufort Sea, it's just opened up a little more. Here, this is the Amundsen Gulf. I think that's what it's called. Here's the Bering Strait, and it's thinning. It's thinning a lot. So let's see what it did this week. Here we were last Sunday, when I did the show, the 27th. So let's just click through. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Look at the change there. a lot of change there. Thursday. You know, there might have been something wrong with their model there on Wednesday, because look, it goes, I don't know if the edges were that thin really on Wednesday. I've seen the model screw up sometimes. Anyway, here's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then here we are on Sunday. So even look at the difference between Saturday and Sunday. Big difference, see, in that Laptev Sea. It's we're in high melt now for that whole area. Now, I didn't finish Climate Reanalyzer. Well, we'll get back to that. I want to do sea ice. Here, this is sea ice thickness for today. This is the Navy model. This is the Arctic, and here's the color ledger on the right. So you can see where it's opened up here in this Laptev Sea and the Chukchi Sea. It's thinned way down to this area here in the Beaufort Sea is where what's left of the multi-year what was the thickest sea ice. During the winter, we tracked it moving down, scooting down from about Ellesmere Island all the way down. And so here's what's left of it right there. So the bright aqua is about 2 meters thick. Not much of that left. We've got some bright aqua still here in the Kara Sea, and here barely in the Chukchi Sea or East Siberian Sea, and here in the Baffin Bay and along the Canadian coastline, and in this little arc around. So I've named these quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we have a reference point. The blue here is about 1.25 meters thick. The the dark purple is about 1 meter thick. Then when you see it moving into lavender, that's getting thinner and thinner until there's nothing there. We can also see melting in these tributaries in the Canadian archipelago, and with that the sea ice will be exiting. In fact, you'll see it moving out here from the Baffin Bay out through this hole here. The nearest strait is breaking up, and this is another exit point for sea ice. Also, through the Fram Strait, that's another exit point. Here's the 30-day animation. It goes back 3 weeks with the data, and the forecast goes to next Saturday, the 10th. So a lot of thinning down. I was looking back on NASA Worldview today. I was looking back through the years and where we might compare to, and looks like about 2016 with the extent. But it was a lot thicker then. And then 2012, of course, we're about even with where it was in 2012 this time of year. But they had very thick ice up here. And we don't have that. And it's not healthy ice. What we've got is there are lots of big pieces, lots of empty water between the pieces, and it's just mush and not something a polar bear could float around on and catch its food. So let's zoom in on this. See this Oco Sea, by the end of the forecast period, that's pretty much ice-free. And see this Bering Strait, that's open by the end of the forecast period. Here's the Kara Sea. That's really opening up here between Novaya Zemlya and the Yamal Peninsula. And you can see the ice scooting through here, this little opening between Severnaya Zemlya and Taimyr Peninsula. See it scooting through there. So that's breaking up and moving out. Here's Svalbard, and here's Franz Josef Land. We can see this east side is breaking up. But look at the thinning. Goes from aqua down to the light purple. Well, it's a 30-day model, but still, it's, this is fast. The melt season goes fast. When you're in it, if you look at it every day, it doesn't look like it's going fast, but when you look at these models, it's kind of takes your breath away. And every year it's a different shape. It's really thinning down here in the Arctic basin. Look at this. Here, I'll stop it. Uh-oh. I didn't do it fast enough. Just clicking through. Okay, now we're on the last week. Here we are today. Okay, here we are. So this is next Saturday, what the model shows. Look how this is thinning out above Greenland and Canada. We've got a hole opening up here, north of Alaska. We've got some ice hugging the coastline, but then there's a hole opening up next to that. And see, this is what's left of the thickest sea ice, and it's going to be coming apart. Now the East Siberian Arctic shelf is this area in here that where most of the research has been done, where they found the huge reservoirs of methane in the sediment, and it's coming up. It's melting. The permafrost in the ocean floor is melting. Alright, here's the Beaufort Sea. This is for today. Sea ice thickness. Here's Alaska at the bottom, Canada on the right. And this is what's left of the thickest sea ice. We can see a little bit of green and a little hint of yellow here. The green is about 3 meters thick, and so that's going way down. And we've got some green and some reds, just a little skim of red along the coastline here. So let's run this model. So it goes back 3 weeks with the data, and then the forecast goes out a week from now to the 11th. So it could be in this Beaufort Sea that it opens up around the edges, and we'll have like a patch of thicker ice kind of left, kind of at the very end. I don't know if it's going to last until the end of the melt season. So there's that. This is the Baffin Bay. Here's Greenland on the right and Canada on the left. This goes up about halfway in the Baffin Bay. Sea ice thickness, you can see it opening up in this model, the 30-day animation. And it's not nearly as thick as the other model. It only goes up to 2 meters thick with this I call it black, but it's dark red, reddish brown. Here's sea surface temperature in the Baffin Bay. We can see it's really heating up as it's coming up from the Atlantic up into the bay there. Okay, now we'll go to the Antarctic. Here we are for today. This is sea ice thickness. Now, if you think about where we saw the methane coming up, all around this western peninsula and off of the western peninsula, but all around it, here over the Weddell Sea, all around from the Brunt ice sheet up, all this whole area. Sorry. This northern part, the Amory ice sheet is right around in here, and then this eastern part, see where it's kind of thin there, it's coming up there. In the southern part, here west of the Ross ice sheet, and then here all around this little elbow, Pine Island Glacier is right up here, and so right in this area next to the Pine Island Glacier it's coming up too. So it's thickening, and the extent is good. It's a little bit above average, or the median, and it's higher than this time last year. It's not very thick, and see, just some aquas there. Here's some reds. It doesn't, I don't think it gets really thick down there. Maybe it used to a long time ago, but not so much anymore. Here's the 30-day animation. Let's zoom in. So, see the colors going from purple down to blue here. This is the Ross Sea. And here in the Weddell Sea, it's thickening quite a bit. So we're going to the aquas here. And from light purple to darker purple. So, remember it's in the dark too. And it's thickening along these coastlines. Except for down here where the Pine Island Glacier is. See, it's open. It looks like it's open right down there. So that's disturbing. So that's all of those. Now, let's move on. We'll move on with sea ice. And this is National Snow and Ice Data Center Sea Ice Index. This is as of yesterday. And this is concentration. See all the blues, and the darker blue it is, that's the more it's melted. So here's the hole up in the Laptev Sea, and see it's clear all around Novaya Zemlya, and here in the Baffin Bay and around Greenland. Those are the most noticeable areas, but also just the change in the concentration. And also look at the Hudson Bay too. Here's the chart for the extent. The blue line is this year, the dotted line is 2012. We're just barely above where we were this time in 2012, and that's gone down as the lowest extent on record. But you know, we're tying it definitely, and we've been much lower than 2012 during the winter time. And then this gray line is the average. Then we'll go to the Antarctic daily. Oops. Concentration. So this corresponds with what we saw in the Navy model. Here's the extent. And the blue line is this year. See, it's higher. It's growing more. The gray line is the average. The greenish gray, that thick one, is last year. So we're above last year a tiny bit. Now we'll look at Greenland. This is also from National Snow and Ice Data Center. So this is not looking good. I warned you. Here we are. This is as of yesterday, where it was melting on the Greenland ice sheet. And look at all of this bottom area, the salmon color, and along the edges. See, on the west side, on the east side, look at these spots on the north. It's all the way around, basically. But huge melt in the interior. Look at that. Here are the cumulative melt days for this year, since January, and these colors are going up. See, it goes backwards in the rainbow. So we're getting into the greenish color now, the blue, green, and greenish, to 35 melt days here on this western side. Here is their chart for the extent. The red line is this year, and the dotted blue line is the average. And this is as of yesterday. And see, here it was yesterday. It spiked up, the melting. It's been raining there, and it spiked up at the end of June. And so here we are yesterday. That's about 24-25% melt extent. So that's very bad. Now let's move on. Well, I'm kind of torn. Let's finish Climate Reanalyzer. I always do that. We saw a 2-meter temperature anomaly for the Arctic. See, it's kind of red up here in Siberia and here in Norway. But we looked at Canada. Greenland, it's turning brown. Look at the Antarctic. Look at this. This is so much warmer than normal. And that's not even where the ozone hole was. It was over on the east side. This is over the Weddell Sea and the ice sheet, and then this is over, that's the Amory ice sheet right there. Worldwide, we're up 0.4 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is up 0.8 C. The Arctic is up 0.5 C. The Antarctic is at minus 1.1 C. That's lower than normal. Southern Hemisphere is in balance, and the tropics are up 0.4 C higher than normal. And these are for air temperatures. Here's precipitation and clouds, and see, we've still got some rain over the Arctic, over the sea ice here, and look here in the Beaufort Sea, and raining here at Greenland, and also snowing. And look, Iceland is getting some rain. Let's look at sea level pressure. This shows the lows and the highs. So we do have low pressure system over the Arctic, and then these highs, but it's still, the jet stream is still very wavy and wonky. Let's look at the jet stream. See how it loops down. And so the cold air is coming down here, but the hot air is over here, up here. We've actually, see, we've got a split. We've got one jet stream south and one north here. So that's split across the Pacific. And here's the southern hemisphere. It's got a loop down here. We saw sea ice and snow cover. Here is sea surface temperature anomaly. This is as of yesterday the 3rd. So we can see where the ice has melted the water. The sea surface temperature is already rising here in the Laptev Sea, and here, look at this Bering Strait, that's already going into the reddish zone, and here along the coast of Russia and Norway, look at around Iceland, that's red. We've got red coming up around Greenland. I don't know why this Barents Sea is in the blue, why that's so much colder than normal. I don't know why. Unless it's the breakdown of the AMOC. I don't know. But see, it's already come rising here in the Hudson Bay, here in the Great Lakes. Here's the flat view. Now look at all this interior water. It's all browns and reds. See, Mediterranean. Here's the Black Sea. Look at the Caspian Sea. And here in the Baltic Sea in north. And that's all of that. And I wanted to show you one more thing. Well, maybe a couple more things on CAMS. I wanted to show you ozone. And let's go to the Antarctic. This was yesterday. See, it was forming. This is the Amory ice sheet here. So it was forming on this east side. See the aqua there? Now watch. If I run this. This is the data. So the data was for Saturday. See, it popped open. Just briefly. It popped open just briefly on Saturday. But look how thin it is all the way across. And then we've got another one opening, or gonna pop open on this western peninsula, see? And so this is an area that's in the red zone on 2 meter temperature anomaly. So that's, I keep a close eye on this, so that's a hole that just popped open briefly. Go back to the global view. This is going to be a long show, I can tell. I wanted to show carbon monoxide. Let's see. That's where the fires are in Russia, where the most of it is. And we can see some here in Canada. Now the Lytton fire, it's got a little bit, but not like Russia. Okay, now let's go on over to NASA Worldview. Okay, this is sea ice concentration. This is for today. I've turned on the blue marble layer so that we're not having to look through clouds. Where you see the colors, the bright colors, that's where it's melting. It's in high melt. So let's see what it did this week. We're going to go back to June, and I'm going to go to the 27th. Here we were last Sunday for my show. So we'll just click through here. So here was Monday. See, we've got a big melt going on here in the Beaufort Sea. Here's Tuesday, Wednesday. Oops, let's refresh that. There we go. Here's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was raining. It was raining all across here yesterday. You can see that there. And here's today, and it's very high melt right there in this northern part. Now we'll turn off blue marble. And we'll just do a satellite view here. I'll show you the smoke. See this white haze? That's the smoke from Russia, from the wildfires. It's very bad already, and it's not going to get better, I don't think. Look at this. See, it's coming all the way across, and then with the rain, like yesterday here, this is where it was coming across with the rain, and the sea ice just being chopped up there. There's yesterday. And here we are today. So it's spread out more. So we'll start here at Greenland. That's kind of my favorite place to start. Now it's been raining down on the southern end a lot this week. But see, this is a good view. It's no clouds. You can see. See, it's just a little wisp of ice left up here on this northeast side. Here's northern Greenland. See the ice. This is already breaking up bad. Here. Look, here's the holes. That's where it's opening. Melting. See, it melts in between the big pieces first, and then it opens up. Here's Svalbard. See, this east side is totally clear. South side is clear. Looks like the west side is pretty clear. Here's the ice edge. Here's a little wisp of ice. Just extending out. Here's Franz Josef Land. See the ice there? Let's go. Let's look at the nearest strait. Yesterday was a better view. No clouds here, see? Okay. See, it's breaking up here. Here it's really breaking up. And then down. It comes down to here, and then it's open. See, here we are today. So here's the Baffin Bay, and see, this whole west side of Greenland is open now. The sea ice is gone. It's just gone. Here, look at this. That's just a little bit of ice there. Here's a, looks like a tiny bit of ice. See, there's ice there that's melting fast. Here's the Hudson Bay. See how that's opened up? These are clouds, but this is not much ice left here, and it's really in the last week. This has melted a lot. Oh, you got to think about the temperatures there. It'll definitely melt ice. Let's go on over. See these tributaries there. See, that's open water there. Here's the Amundsen Gulf. Here's Canada. And Canada on the left. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Now, the thickest sea ice is right in this area. Right along in here. See, it's melting there. See the leads there. It's still pretty compact, but it's thinning. It'll melt around that first. Alright, let's go back. Here's Novaya Zemlya. It's ice-free. See? Just, here's a little skim next to the Yamal Peninsula. This is the Kara Sea. We've got some thicker ice here, but it's exiting. It's moving out through that area. Here is Severnaya Zemlya. This is Komsomolets. This area where we've been seeing the methane billowing up. on CAMS. I want to see if we can see this Vogelov ice cap. Not yet. Here we go. This was on the 2nd. I told you once the clouds cleared and things kind of melted, we'd see it running into the ocean. And it is. You see the ice. That's the ice pouring into the ocean from this Vogelov ice cap. It's really shocking. I don't know how much ice this originally had, but how long can it keep pouring into the ocean? So here's the Lattev Sea. See this? Here's this ice. It's breaking up, starting to melt there. See, here we are today. Look at this. So a lot of this Lattev Sea is open now. See, open water. And here's a few pieces. Here's the coastline. See. Here, this is New Siberian Islands. It's open here. These are clouds and smoke that we're looking through here. Here it was yesterday. Better view. See, this ice is breaking up fast. And here's the Bering Strait. That's open. See, all this is open. Here we are today. Better view. See? See, here's the ice where it's a little bit left along the Alaska coastline, but there's a hole opening up just on the other side here. See, here's a hole. It's a curved area. That's what we've got. Now I want to go over earthquakes. There are 237 worldwide right now. I'll go over the pictures I took. It was kind of late this afternoon. There were 250 at that time. And we had X flare from the sun happened yesterday. It was on the 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 side of the sun, or kind of on the northern edge, northeast, I think, edge. Anyway, if there's a CME, it won't hit us. Well, we weren't Earth facing with it, but we did get radiation from it. Alright, 250 worldwide when I took these pictures. Right down here in Chile, it's been rocking. There were two 6.0s in the last 24 hours down here that started this off, and it's still rocking. Here in the lower 48, we've got 140. And remember, it is a holiday weekend, so you're not going to see a bunch of quarry blasts, and because all those workers are at home or partying. And so that's one of the reasons you're not seeing a whole bunch of earthquakes here in Texas. Here's only one in Oklahoma. Nothing right up here at Yellowstone. We've got one in the middle of Wyoming, and we've got some activity up here in the Pacific Northwest. 34 in Southern California. Searles Valley Ridgecrest had 22. Western Nevada over to Mammoth Lakes had 31. This is the Reno area. We've got one. This is, let's see, 1.1 at Floreston. This is kind of on the north edge of Mount Rose area. And here's one of 1.5 up at Pyramid Lake at Sutcliffe. This is the San Andreas fault line from San Francisco down southwards. There were 6 here. The largest was a 2.3 at Armona. The geysers have 28 today. This is Northern California, only this 2.2 at Weaverville. This is just west of Redding. Here is Pacific Northwest, and see nothing here at Yellowstone. It looks so weird to see nothing over there. So we got 10 in this picture, and they're all along this Cascadia zone. The largest was this 2.0 at Jamestown, Washington. Here's this 4.1 at Ten Sleep, Wyoming, kind of in the middle of the north part of the state. And we had one in New Mexico, 3.1 at Lake Valley, New Mexico. This is kind of an unusual place for an earthquake. We don't see them here very often. And then only one in Oklahoma, 2.1 at Chester. Puerto Rico had 8 today. We had a 4.6 in the middle of the Atlantic, central mid-Atlantic ridge between Brazil and Africa. And this is on the Cocos Plate. We've got 2. We've got a 5.6 near Corral del Risco, Mexico. It's at the north end of this Cocos Plate. Then a 4.7 at the Galapagos Islands. And that's on the southern end of the Cocos Plate. These are all the earthquakes in South America. There were 8 here, and it all started with 2 6.0s back to back yesterday at yesterday, 6.0, 6.0, then 4.7, 4.7, 4.4. This is 4.2 over here in Argentina. The rest of them are in this cluster, 4.4 and 4.6, near Vallenar, Chile. It's actually in the ocean. Here's one in the South Atlantic at 5.2, South Sandwich Islands region. Hawaii showing 27. All of them are clustering at Pahala except for one up at Kilauea. Alaska showing 55 today. This is the South Pacific. We've got 3. And Fiji had a 6.1 down here a couple of days ago. Okay, we've got a 4.3 south of the Fiji Islands, 573 kilometers deep. 4.7 Gizo, Solomon Islands, and 4.9 at Port Vila, Vanuatu. We've got a 5.1 at Ambon, Indonesia, and 2 from Japan, 1 off the east coast of Japan at Natsei, and then 4.4 at Takahagi, Japan. It's in the ocean down here. And 2 in this picture, 1 4.4 at Kondo, China, and a 4.2 at Kuzdar, Pakistan. So lots of movement there. Now let's go to our earthquake website. Let's see what else is going on. We've got 6 here now at Chile. The 6s have fallen off the map, and so it's still going. See, the last one was a 4.3 at 4:40 this afternoon. Here's a new one in Ecuador. Look. 4.3 near Pelora, Ecuador. This is southeast of Quito. Oops. Anyway, that came in at 2:36 this afternoon. Got that. Hawaii. Let's see what Hawaii's doing. We've got 25 here, mainly at Pahala. Okay. See what else. I'm going to show you. I want to go all magnitudes for the last 7 days. See how many we've got. 2,257. Look at that. This is what's happened in the last week. Big dots there. Lots of movement. So we'll finish the show with reading out of the Bible. One of the main reasons I'm doing all this reporting is because I do believe we are in the end times. And Jesus said that when the disciples asked him what would be the signs of his return, and in Matthew chapter 26 he goes over a whole list of things, and one of them was earthquakes in diverse places, and he talks about the famines, pestilences, wars and rumors of wars, and so and all the way through the Bible. In the prophetic books they talk about the upheaval of the land masses, and that all the mountains would be removed and the earth would be like a drunkard and be tossed to and fro and all this stuff. So, this is why I'm reporting, to show where we are and to document everything. So tonight we're starting in the book of Philippians, and this is in the New Testament. These are Paul's letters to the Christians, the Philippians. Philippians chapter 1. The epistle of Paul, the apostle, to the Philippians. Paul and Timotheus, the servants of Jesus Christ, to all the saints in Christ Jesus, which are at Philippi, with the bishops and deacons, grace be unto you, and peace from God our Father, and from the Lord Jesus Christ. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine, for you all making request with joy, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace. For God is my record, how greatly I long after you all in the bowels of Jesus Christ. And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ, being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Jesus Christ, unto the glory and praise of God. But I would ye should understand, brethren, that the things which happened unto me have fallen out rather unto the furtherance of the gospel, so that my bonds in Christ are manifest in all the palace and in all other places, and many of the brethren in the Lord, waxing confident by my bonds, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Some indeed preach Christ even of envy and strife, and some also of good will. The one preach Christ of contention, not sincerely, supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. What then, notwithstanding every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is preached, and I therein do rejoice, yea, and will rejoice, for I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer and the supply of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, according to my earnest expectation and my hope, that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness as always, so now also Christ shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by life or by death. For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. But if I live in the flesh, this is the fruit of my labor, yet what I shall choose I wot not, for I am in a strait betwixt two, having a desire to depart and to be with Christ, which is far better. Nevertheless, to abide in the flesh is more needful for you. And having this confidence, I know that I shall abide and continue with you all for your furtherance and joy of faith, that your rejoicing may be more abundant in Jesus Christ for me by my coming to you again. Only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Christ, that whether I come and see you, or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that ye stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel, and in nothing terrified by your adversaries, which is to them an evident token of perdition, but to you of salvation, and that of God. For unto you it is given, in the behalf of Christ, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for his sake, having the same conflict which ye saw in me, and now hear to be in me. Philippians chapter 1. I feel the same way. I want to go home so bad, but I also want to be here to spread the word, spread the gospel, and to remind everyone that if you believe in Jesus and you confess it and you believe on him, you will be saved. This is very important. We are in the end times. Dark days are here upon us. We need God. We need Jesus to help us through this time and to lift us up and to be able to guide us and protect us during these dark, dark days. And the only protection against Satan is Jesus and God. That's the only protection against the evil. It's spiritual, but it manifests in physical. So I'm praying for all of you. I hope you have a good week. I love you all. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.